What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Around the League this Thursday, guys. We have a special episode for you guys here today, man. And I got some great guests, of course, to tag along for Around the League. You guys already know my guy, Seven Mitchell from Lakers land. Welcome back, brother. Thank you for coming on the show today. How you doing?
Dan, they better get their popcorn ready, bro. It is going down tonight. We making a movie tonight, man. Shout out to Dan, the Lakers fan. Big up to everybody in the live chat. Let's do a rock, bro.
Let's get him. I'm very excited to have my guy Seven Mitchell here. And of course, we got to bring Lakers Nation's very own DFree. What's up, brother?
DFree in the building.
What's up? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Thank you for joining us always, man. Let's go ahead and start off with the Lakers. We got to start with the Lakers right in our own backyard because, of course, the Lakers started off 3-0 this season. I was very excited. Still am. It's a long season. But, you know, the Lakers have now relegated themselves to 4-4 after going 1-5. Well, no, 1-4 on the road trip, right? So we got to talk about it, man. What are you guys' thoughts on the slow road start, starting with my guy, Seven Mitchell? Go ahead, brother.
Man, it's been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, bro. It's been a roller coaster already in these first couple of weeks. You know, I'm excited about Lakers basketball, but so many little storylines, fellas, that's happening. So many little narratives that's happening outside of the game and within the game. So it's been interesting. I'll say that much.
Very interesting, man, and also intriguing as well because it's looked like two different teams, one at home and one on the road. DFree, what do you attest to this, my brother? What do you think?
Man, it's I don't know what's causing it so far. We'll have to kind of have to, break it down a little bit more and see what's going on. But it's definitely been interesting. I'll say that. Also disappointing to see them start off so amazingly and then also wind up losing a few games there. I will say with the first few games, if you go back and watch those games, it's a real chance that we weren't supposed to win those games. We might have messed around and got kind of lucky in a couple of those games back in hindsight. Like, for example, that Kings game, I kid you not, I was watching that game, and until LeBron goes insane to start that fourth quarter, I'm like, we just don't deserve to win this game. We didn't bring the energy necessary to guard them. They were getting up and down instantly. We weren't matching that. And then LeBron just goes crazy and steals the victory, right? So, like, you could argue we didn't deserve to win that one. The Suns game, that one was down to the wire as well.
The one before that one, we had to come back. Yep.
That's my point. So, like, realistically, we look at those first few games and it's like, last year's team, maybe they just are 0-3 in these games. So, it's definitely kind of interesting to see how things have kind of shaped up so far with this team.
Man, you know what? Great points, D-Free. All the games we won, with the exception of one, I think we're really not that convincing. Now, I think what disappointed me the most was the fact that we went away a lot from the ball movement that we saw, like for at least two or three of those home games. I mean, we just look completely different. And I want to talk about D'Angelo Russell, fellas, because D'Angelo Russell, and by the way, shout out to Randolph. Thank you so much for Super Chat, brother. He said, fire Rob Pelinka. I've had it. Oh, man. Hey, listen, that seat is starting to warm up really nicely for Rob right now.
Man, that seat has been on fire for like 2 years, if you ask me.
You think so?
Hell yeah. I think it's been on fire for years.
Yeah.
He poured a little bit of water on it with that Vando trade and all that, but it was on fire then. And, that cooled right back off after that.
He always does just enough to make it seem like he's doing something, but it's never the right move.
I agree with that. I feel like it's been Band-Aid type moves instead of actual overhaulings or issues that we have. And really the biggest issue I've had with this front office, man, is we really went away from what was working for us in 2020. Like, we had a 3 big man rotation with AD, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard. We have not been able to get a consistent 3 big man rotation since, right? And it's been unfortunate because now you see, I don't know if you guys heard the reports before we went live. They were talking about plantar fasciitis for Anthony Davis' foot, right? As far as and anybody that's ever had that, man, that's painful, bro. That could actually keep them down if it's severe. We don't know the severity of it, but it's been really disappointing for me. But if we really want to talk about disappointment, I think we have to now shift our attention in the direction of D'Angelo Russell. Right?
My God.
D-Lo, man, Mr. Ice in his veins, quote unquote.
Did you hear Dan JJ Redick's comments? Not to cut you off, but did you hear JJ Redick's post game?
Yes.
on D'Angelo Russell last night.
Yep.
Yes. And I'm glad he did it too. I'm glad he called him out, and because they asked him. And by the way, my boy Trevor Lane caught a little bit of some attitude for
Dude,
oh man,
no.
yeah.
He told me he was going to that game, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, he's good at that game. And I heard that video. I was like, "I swear that's Trevor's voice." And then it comes to find out it actually was Trevor's voice, and I hella was capping on him for that. So that was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Salute my brothers over there in the chat. Appreciate y'all, man. Die Hard mixtape. But yeah, I'm glad personally, and I was gonna ask you guys about this. I'm glad you brought it up, Mitchell. So I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on JJ Redick's coaching philosophies early? Because personally, I love everything I'm seeing so far. But you go ahead and break them down.
Let me say this about Coach JJ Reckless. Let me start this off. You're not going to fool me with all this little media things that you're doing with the reporters and stuff like that. You're not going to fool me. What happens on the basketball court counts. So let me start there. I already know that you're media savvy. You played in the locker room. You used to debate with Stephen A. Smith every day, getting paid to do that on ESPN. So we get that. What happens on a basketball court matter. And like you said, Dan, what we witnessed during the preseason and at the beginning of this year has been totally different. I'm looking at the minutes that Dalton Connect is getting. It's totally different from what I expected. The ball movement, it's just been night and day. So with JJ, I still believe in him, but he's not showing me any stability in these first 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. Interesting take. I did not think my bro was going to take it there, but I love it. He's coming with the spicy hot takes. DFree, what are your thoughts so far early this season on everything that's going on here?
With JJ or D-Lo?
With JJ. Well, let's start with JJ since Seven brought it up.
Yeah. So JJ, so like we for one, prior to this, like we already knew he was a bit of an asshole. Like that's just who he is. Like he's obsessive with this stuff, and that's the way he acts, right? And he seems like a sore loser type too, where he don't want to lose, right? And that's perfectly fine. I didn't mean that as like a knock on him, but for us, I still want to see the tweaks that we need to see instead of just hearing him saying these things and calling out players. I mean, it's good coming off of him, who would just never call out anybody. He would basically just, kind of let things go as they were. But I still want to see more from JJ in that regard. And I think in terms of like the offense and stuff, I think that has looked all right for the most part. It's definitely different than what we expected based on what we heard from him and what we saw in the preseason and the first couple of games of the season. I think what's happened with that on that topic is that JJ's out there calling a lot of isolation plays because he's forcing the ball to the stars, which is what he said he would do. And I'm cool with that for the most part. But there's got to be movement on the side. So it looks like they're not doing anything, but if you watch JJ on the side, he's calling this stuff. It's not like they're freelancing and just isolating just because they want to do it. So I think the play calling has to be better if that's the case. And he's got to use some of these guys better because, I mean, we have these guys off the bench like Christie and Gabe. And I don't really expect much from them, but he's not using them at all. They just sit in the corner. And so you can put these guys in some of the actions like Dalton, get these guys moving, get these guys coming off of screens, get these guys freed up to maybe get downhill to the basket, get Christie popping for a three, like something, but he doesn't do any of that creative stuff if it's not Dalton, basically. So I think that there needs to be more versatility in his play calling from what I'm seeing, but I do like what he's done with the starting group. I think that he's playing to what their strengths are for the most part. It's just been the first few games, he put the ball a lot in AR's hands, and AR was basically out there running the point guard position, and he took the ball out of D'Lo and LeBron's hands, and he shifted that a little bit lately to get more balance. And so I don't know if that's what's caused us to lose or if it just happened at the same time, but definitely up and down with JJ.
Well,
let me say this real quick, Dan. I feel like I'm falling victim to comparing JJ Redick to Darvin Ham instead of trying to compare if JJ Redick is a good coach or not. Yeah. How much leeway, fellas, do you think we should be giving JJ Redick when we're comparing him to the job that Darvin Ham did with the Lakers?
Before the season started, to answer your question, Seven, I'll say I'm gonna give him 41 games, which is about half of the season, before he can get his toes wet a little bit. I know he's got a great assistant coaching staff, which is what gives me confidence that they will address some of the issues. But on the other end, I really want to address what the lack of moves that the front office has had, and also, as far as comparing him with Darvin Ham, I think JJ obviously has a learning curve. With Ham, I really wasn't hard until like a year and a half into his coaching career. Shout out to my guy Mees, the GM. He was really going in on Darvin early in the season. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let it rock and wait and see. But with JJ, I'll tell you guys what I do like about JJ. For one, he's very vocal. He's not going to mince his words. Like my guy DFree said, he has that asshole side to him, which I personally love. I loved everything that happened last night. I love the post-game conference, everything. I do agree with Seven, though. He has to make sure he implements better offensive and defensive schemes in order to really have some merit to stand on if he's really going to, in order not to lose the locker room whenever he holds guys accountable like that. But D'Angelo Russell is the biggest issue for me. Like, I feel like sometimes we're playing 5-on-4 out there, fellas, and I was going to ask you just about that. And matter of fact, I'll pull up the video here because I think Pender Perkins, I'm not going to play the audio, but you can definitely see some of the issues that some of us fans have with D'Angelo Russell and this little clip here. And it shows a couple of things here, right? So we see D'Angelo Russell dropping down and getting lost on the defensive end, and they're not even trying to recover there. Giving up a wide open bucket. And this is the biggest issue I have with D'Lo, right? Offensively, as you can see, he's not the initiator to the offense. A lot of times he's a spot up guy. He doesn't have the shot here, but what he does here, he pump fakes. And like my guy KP pretty much broke it down, right? He's going to some street ball type move without the athleticism and the speed, and he gets blocked by Jay Huff here. And then he compounds that by not getting back in transition, right? First of all, he's already behind the defender there, right? And on top of that, he gets pinned down, and then he gets lost completely. Look, doesn't even make the effort to get to the corner, right? So that, I think, is my biggest issue with D'Angelo Russell is he lacks so much effort, man. We saw it in one play there, right? Go ahead. Thoughts, guys? Seven already had it. I know you had it, brother. Go ahead, DFree.
My thing is this, fellas.
I'll let Seven go.
Go ahead, bro.
My thing is this. Very poor effort. But keep it real, fellas. Can we blame him? We've shown D'Lo no love for almost a whole year. His name has been in trade talks since the first half of last season. There's no job security in LA, and maybe rightfully so. But he gotta feel like he's not wanted, and it looks like it's been that way for a minute. So he should still be professional. No doubt about that. I'm not trying to give him any excuse or a pass. But I mean, I just being real, I'm not surprised that he's not all bought into this program because they really don't want him, and he knows it.
Right. What about you, DFree? What do you think about D'Lo?
I think that's true. You want to know something hilarious about D'Lo?
Yeah.
Is so this is where things are kind of funny, because with D'Lo on the court, the Lakers are plus 20 points better than they are with him off the court.
Wow.
So that is huge. That's a hilarious swing, because that's not what you would expect to see based on that clip and the fact that, he's out there sometimes just getting cardio. He ain't hitting nothing. He's letting guys go by him. It's pretty apparent, but they're still better with him on the court, which is hilarious. And it speaks to and I literally have spent this time doing the research right here, just while you guys were talking, because I wanted to see this. It speaks to the lack of depth that this team has and how important he still is to this team, even if he's struggling, because things just work better. They function better for us out there with him out there. So it's definitely pretty interesting. But I agree with what you guys were saying. I don't know if he is invested in this. You got to go back to the summer, and when JJ's hired, there's no mention of D'Lo anywhere. D'Lo kind of was still in the rumors of being traded. He kind of inserts himself, like in one of those videos, workout videos. Oh, JJ, did you see that? This and that. Like, he kind of started inserting himself. So when it became clear he wasn't going to get traded, they started to pivot and act like they cared about him, but they never really did. I don't think that JJ really likes D'Lo at all in the first place. And I really think that there was a huge emphasis on putting the ball in Austin's hands. A lot of people have reported that Austin was there. His agent was saying that Austin was going to have a huge year this season, things like that under JJ, and that they were going to put the ball in his hands a lot. And that was shown. And like I mentioned earlier, they took the ball out of the other two guys' hands. And so the thing is with AR, he can play without the ball. He can spot up. He can get you points off of cuts. He can get to the free throw line. D'Lo can't do any of that stuff. D'Lo actually has to have the ball in his hands. And this year he had the ball in his hands with a career low usage. LeBron, by the way, is also in the same boat with a career low usage. So that's why they also shifted to try to get more production out of him. But really, I don't think he bought into this. I don't think that he's wanted there. He's looking for stability. That's clearly not this team. He's a bit redundant with Austin, and I think he knows it. Everybody knows it. He knows he was in rumors all offseason. Everybody knows it. So I expect him eventually to pick it up, but it just is what it is with him. If his shot isn't going there, and especially if you're playing him off ball as a 3-point shooter, like that, he's just not going to give you anything because he's not a 3.
He's shooting like 29% right now from 3.
Exactly. So if the shot's not going, if you're going to use him like that, then you might as well trade him.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not going to be as kind as you both to D'Angelo Russell because for one, this is the second coach that he's played for under the Lakers. The first coach definitely empowered him. Definitely, there was a point in time where we had this discussion already, right? He needed the ball more in his hands. He got it, especially around the month of January of last season. In February, which, by the way, he had phenomenal numbers. I was on the trade D'Lo train around December because he was trash when they benched him. He was averaging like 7 points a game off the bench. And then I was back on it. I was on his side, and he was getting a lot of love, Seven, when he was balling out. But that's the way the city of Los Angeles is, man. You have to keep that consistency. Right. The moment he disappeared around March, right? He started his podcast, all of this. He started talking his shit. He disappears around March. And then in the postseason, he pulled a Harry Houdini. I think that's when most Laker fans were completely off. And I agree with them because it's been 2 straight playoff runs with the Lakers where he really only has had maybe 2-3 total games, combined. Oh, I wouldn't even say combined, per season, right, in the playoffs. So where he played decent. So my issue with D'Lo is not so much regular season, which he's already struggling in, by the way. It's more so, can we trust him in the postseason, right? And LA is kind of one of those cities like New York. It's just like it. We're not going to coddle these players, so they expect us to hold their hand. They better perform because we've loved players that don't put up stats but always give us effort, right? LA doesn't want a triple double. LA, that was an issue we had with Russ. Russ will put up big numbers, but he wasn't efficient, right? So that's a big issue I have with D'Lo is that I feel like he's playing more for a contract than for the team right now. And I think it's better for both parties if we split. Personally,
if he was playing for a contract, he's gonna need to step it up, man. He's playing for nothing. He's in his own head right now. He should be on fire. When he was playing for a contract, that was at the deadline last year that you mentioned. I just pulled up his game score from basically from middle of January to the end of February. He dropped at least 18 points in like 20 consecutive games.
He went off
18 points,
bro. Nobody thinks my mind. I'm telling you, I wanted him dealt, and I apologized to the man on live stream after he went off because I thought finally he unlocked himself. Finally,
he went insane, and then he would have like a random 9-point game, but he rebounded from that with a 18 or 28-point game, and he had 14 assists here, 10 assists there, 17 assists in one game. He went crazy during that stretch.
Didn't he have a 40-point night versus Milwaukee or something like that?
Yes, he did.
He did actually. Yeah, he had a 44-point game in early March against Milwaukee. Crazy. So if he wants a contract, that's what he need to be doing, not the BS he's doing now. But yeah, you're right. I don't think that this is the team for him. I don't know that he is going to be able to give us what we needed because our deficiencies, no matter how he performs, our deficiencies don't change, right? Him and AR are still the least athletic backcourt in the entire NBA, which is a huge problem for this team because you can't have 40-year-old LeBron being your second most athletic guy out there, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And we are still going to get cooked, especially because AR has to guard the best perimeter player, it's a lot of workload for him. So it just, with him out there with D'Lo, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I don't care if you split them up, bring one off the bench.
Yes.
I don't know that this is the team in particular. But if in the short term, I do think until you get a trade, you do need to split these guys up.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem, fellas. The marketplace currently for D'Lo is so limited. No one in the NBA wants him. So it's like right now in the short term, we're stuck. Like Utah, there was a deal on the table for Mark Kessler and Colin Sexton. and they didn't want D'Angelo Russell. That would have got us our solidified big man, but they don't want D'Angelo Russell. It's just like the market for D'Lo is very limited. I know he was talking about going to Orlando before he opted back in with the Lakers, but at this point, I don't know what teams will be so desirable to give up some assets for D'Lo. He don't have any value, it would look like.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that's because he plays for the Lakers? Because it seems to me like other teams have no problem trading players of that caliber and getting some equitable pieces back. My issue is we are willing to dangle maybe even a first-round pick or two, and teams still don't want it. That to me is more of a Rob Pelinka problem than a D'Angelo Russell problem. Because I think D'Lo, come on, when he's playing good, we saw what he can do last season, right? During the regular season, at least. But maybe it is the fact that teams have figured out that he's not a postseason guy, right? What is he? He's been like 10 years in the league now.
Mm-hmm.
But do you believe, Dan, that he's not a playoff guy? Or because because it's been the Denver Nuggets matchup that he's had to deal with the last 2 appearances. So I'm wondering, is it just the Jamal Murray thing, or is he just not ready when April and May come?
When we had our run, when we made it to the Western Conference Finals, he had 1, maybe 2 good games in the Memphis series in total. Then he disappeared the next series, which I think was, who was it, Golden State?
Golden State.
He had 1 game where he destroyed Golden State, though.
Okay.
He went off in 1 game. But you're not wrong, though.
And then he magically disappears in the entire Denver series. So it's like, and then not only that, we can go back and look at other playoff series where he was on other teams like the Brooklyn Nets, right? He had a phenomenal regular season for the Brooklyn Nets that year. I think he even made the All-Star team.
All-Star team,
he was a replacement guy.
And then what happened, right? In the postseason, we didn't get the same deal, right? So to me, I think it's, when you're a 10-year player in the league, I think you kind of get pegged into a category at some point. And he's had plenty of opportunities to showcase consistency. Like he's starting. He doesn't have the excuse that he's coming off the bench. He's been empowered. We've seen Darvin Ham give him that, more ball handling duties. Now this year, like DFree said, that he is playing more off the ball. However, the one game when we lost to Detroit, we tried to run the offense through him. And that, I believe, cost us the game because he came out here and he was 1 for 6 to start So it's like you can't run it through him and you can't play him off ball. Ship his ass out, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. But again, that's the issue. Like Seven said, man, he doesn't have a big market right now. But that makes me wonder. Makes me wonder, right? Is it because we're the Lakers, or is it because Rob Pelinka stinks at making trades? Which one is it, fellas? Which one is
a little bit of both.
Also, D'Lo is that guy where he is. You got to think about this for D'Lo. So, like, he is still young to where he's still trying to get paid. Right. He is somebody that is. When he's playing well, not considering playoffs, he's a starting caliber guard in the NBA. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But he is somebody that's too good for a bad team, right? And he's not good enough with the weaknesses that he has for a team that has true title aspirations. And setting aside the fact that most of the title teams already have a starting guard that they're going to put the ball in the hands of. So, like, D'Lo's in a weird spot. And so if you're looking to trade for this guy for any reason other than as a salary, then there's no reason to try to grab him. And if he's a salary, then if you don't expressly need to offload, 17, 18 million right now, and you could do that by other means, that he has no value to you. He especially has no value to you right now. He's only going to be valuable to you when you get closer to the deadline, because also half this year will have passed by that point, or it's really 3/4, where the Lakers have already paid most of that money to him. So the other team that's getting him doesn't even have to pay him most of that contract anymore. So, like, there's a lot of reasons why they haven't been able to or won't be able to trade him for a long period of time here. So I think with him, it's definitely a Rob thing, a Laker thing. I think it's a D'Lo thing himself because of the stuff I just mentioned. And really what we need is we need him to come and show that deadline D'Lo again, but this time actually ship his ass out, and maybe you can get something for that.
Now, let me ask y'all this real quick, Dan, before you move on. And this is for both of y'all, because we know what the Lakers need partially as far as the front court, that presence, rim protection. We need some help for AD. If we are to trade D'Angelo Russell, who is right now the primary ball handler, the facilitator, do you feel like it's a must that the Lakers get another guard, or can we afford to get rid of D'Lo and go for another position? Who can we rely on as the Lakers roster right now to be the facilitator for this team? Are you willing to put it in Austin Reeves' hands?
I'll let DFree go first.
Well, I wouldn't mind putting the ball in AR's hands. I wouldn't mind putting the ball more in LeBron's hands because I actually don't think moving away from LeBron so much is good for this team. I get that he's old and that you don't want to have so much of a workload on him, but that's just when he's at the best. You put the ball in your best player's hands. I get that you want to keep him fresh, but this team is at its best when LeBron's got the ball in his hands making decisions. It just is what it is. So I'm cool with those two guys, but the problem is that you need more than two guys. They have no one else. You're not relying on Gabe to create anything. Max can't do it. Half the time he turns the ball over. Dalton can't do it. Like, they need a ball handler that can actually create something. That's one of the issues they have now. It's why you would probably be better off separating these guys in the starting group. So that way you don't have to stagger them as much. So short answer, I do think you probably need to bring back at least somebody that can literally dribble the basketball.
That's a good answer. Now, in contrast to what my good friend DFree believes about LeBron, I believe putting the ball in LeBron's hands is good as well. However, I like him more as a playmaker, right? Point of attack guy. I like him bringing up the ball, surveying the floor, and getting involved more pick and rolls with Anthony Davis, doing stuff like that, and then taking over in the fourth quarter. Because I do think, man, he's running out of gas. If you guys, and that was going to be my next question, by the way.
It be scaring me, bro.
Father time is knocking, man. Father time is knocking, and LeBron doesn't want to open the door, but it's coming for him, man. And all I want as a Laker fan is to have a healthy LeBron James by the time the playoffs come. Because what I don't want is for him to be, overexerting himself for 3 out of the 4 quarters in the game, and then he ends up being hurt or gassed by the time the postseason come, assuming we even get there, right? So, to answer your question, Seven, I would love to trade for a Colin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson type guard, along with the big man that they have that they don't want to relinquish to us, that they know. They know we have the assets to get, but because it's the Lakers, you're really going to turn down 2 first-round picks from the Lakers. And might I say, these 2 first-round picks are probably going to be highly valued because these are going to come at a time when potentially AD has already either retired or left, and LeBron James for sure retired. So does that make sense? Right. Makes 0 sense. And that's going to lead us into my next segment, which is rumor has it the Chicago Bulls now shop LaVine and Vucevic. Should the Lakers get involved in a potential trade there? And who do you guys like out of the two, if so? And I'll let either one of you two go at it. Zach LaVine, Nikolai.
I'll go second because I wanted to pull up something on Vucevic here.
Okay. Go ahead, Seven.
I'm terrified about this Zach LaVine relationship with the Lakers. I don't know, bro. It's something about Zach LaVine I'm just not buying. I don't know. Who you rich? I because he's a big man, I'll be more willing to go with what we need. Zach LaVine is high risk, high reward. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just not willing to take that risk, bro. I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. I mean, to be honest, Zach LaVine hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout his career, so it is like you said, high risk, and I believe is a medium reward with Zach because people look at his stats and be like, "Oh, he's a 20-point per game scorer, the one that the Lakers need." Well, you're coming to the Lakers, you got to play behind AD and
different. Yeah, different. You say Chicago.
That 18 can look more like 15, and so it's. I agree, Seven. I think you know what, man. I'm so iffy on Zach. I love him. UCLA product. I've always been a fan.
Good player.
Well, man, it's tough. What do you think, DFree?
So on the topic of, I'll start with Vucevic. I mean, we could just flat out use another big body. We're kind of desperate for anybody to come in and play that position. So if you're going to put a halfway decent center in front of me like Vucevic is, then okay, I'll take it. But he does get cooked on the defensive side. He's not great there. So I just would caution if we were to try to pull a trade for him, that could be a problem. But if he could stand somebody up for a couple seconds and let AD rotate over, then I'd be cool with that as well. But again, we're kind of desperate for just any big guy, which is also why the Jazz don't want to trade Kessler because they know we're desperate. Also, on the topic of LaVine, so here's a fun thing about LaVine. I actually would be pretty in on that. The worst thing about LaVine is not his production. It's not his health. It's the contract. So the contract, it has 2 problems that you'd have to give up matching salaries now, which is a few players. That's where the question is. It's like, is it D'Lo, Gabe, Rui, do you want to give up all that right now for Zach?
Right.
I mean, you could argue that those guys are pretty volatile, inconsistent. LaVine, he should have like a higher floor. You know what you're going to get even in a bad game out of this guy on this team, to where maybe you can make an argument that it's worth it. But our team doesn't have a lot of depth. We're already top heavy. So that may or may not be the right trade. Depends who you ask. But in terms of his health, he's kind of up and down. He's really
out tonight. He's out tonight, DFree.
He's out tonight.
Zach is out tonight again for versus the Timberwolves with that abductor strain. Yep, for the third straight game.
Well, I'm sure they're happy with that, because I'm sure they're like, oh, you have a little bit of pain, just feel free to sit down. We don't care. You've shown us, right? I think that's probably what Chicago is doing there. Like, they're like, okay, yeah, for sure. They're like, we'll take the loss. Don't worry about it.
Right.
The thing with his health though is that his health it's largely in line with what you'd expect from an NBA player, aside from the last year and then 1 year early in his career where he played minimal games, like a year and a half there between 16, 17, and 18. He played about minimal games. But then after that, we get into shortened seasons with COVID from 19 to 21. There were a couple of shortened seasons where he's playing largely games you'd expect. Then he goes to 67, 77. And then last year he got hurt midway through, and he had that surgery, which I'm pretty sure he could have kept playing, but he got that surgery because he was going to get traded to the freaking Detroit Pistons. So yeah. So like, I'm not too concerned about the health. And like, if you look at all of his stuff, I think he'd be fine production wise. I wouldn't expect him to average anything less than 18 points on this team. He's a good shooter. He can go get you a bucket. We don't have a lot of firepower, so I'd actually be pretty in on him. The only question I truly have is with the contract, and then also the contract value in a couple of years. It's kind of hard to pay a guy $50 million to be your third guy. So that's also the concern. It's just the contract.
Wait, how much is he making?
He's making nearly
40 to 50 million.
Oh, that's a fuck no. He can't come to my team making that kind of money.
Let me pull up his contract. That's why I said that's the question with LaVine. It's not even anything else. It's the contract. But you know, the fun thing about that is, despite the fact that he's making that much money, it's 26, 27. He has a player option that season. So a couple seasons from now, 2 seasons from now, he's got a player option for 48.9. So basically $50 million, which he is obviously going to take. So the thing is, though, the argument for that is, while that's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money. The cap is going to keep going up. So that's not going to look the same way it does today. And then secondly, the argument is, at that point, you may be looking to deal AD. LeBron's probably already gone. You could pivot pretty smoothly into a rebuild. So that's my thing too, or like you can go in on a trade like that and then get the value immediately and say it works out. If it does, great. And you shouldn't have to give up assets for him either. It's just matching salaries. So I actually could get pretty in on that. I really could, if I'm being honest with you.
I would love Zach LaVine. All your points are very valid. I would love Zach LaVine, but once you told me he's making about 49 million, that's a travesty if he gets hurt and he's out for more than a season. You know, because now, and I think Rob knows this. I think Rob knows that he's one trade away from being canned, absolutely canned. If he makes another trade that's equally, if not worse, than the Russell Westbrook trade, he's out of here, and he's probably never getting the job again. And that's why I think he hasn't made a move. I think there low-key have been moves that have been available to him, but I don't think he's 110% sold on it. So I think, scare money don't make money. I don't think Rob wants to actually make a bad trade, and that's probably why he's sitting on his hands.
Contract is the problem with him for sure. I don't see any other problem with him in particular, but that is the issue. So somebody of his caliber, though, I'd love to have on this team. I would have loved if we got DeJounte Murray. All things even. Yeah, I know he got hurt in the first game of the season. Who's to say he would have got injured with us, right? I don't know. But he would have been perfect for this team. He would match the athletic profile, all that stuff.
Where's he at? San Antonio?
Somebody of that caliber. No, he's in New Orleans. He got hurt literally the first game of the season.
The perfect trade is there.
Okay.
I'm hoping that eventually the Jazz will budge. They budged the last time we made a trade for him. So I'm hoping as we get closer to the trade deadline, Colin Sexton and Walker Kessler will be Lakers. I think that's the perfect trade. You get the ball handling card you need, who can actually play some defense as he's decent. And then get the rim protector, big man, dirty work player who can rebound and set tough screens that we've been begging for years. So if we can, make that trade, I think the Lakers will be better off, like so much better off, right, moving forward. But that's neither here or there. Right now we have nothing done, and the Lakers have lots of gaping holes they have to take care of. All right, it is around the league. We did about 35 minutes based on the Lakers. So now I got to switch gears a little bit, LeVar Ball style, man. And I got to ask y'all, because you know what? I've been on this for a long time. I've said it, and DFree knows. He'll be my witness. He knows I'm a Curry hater, and for all the right reasons. It's not for his skill set. I respect that. But Shaq, the Hall of Famer, recently said, right, that he believes NBA viewership is down because everyone wants to shoot threes, and that Steph Curry and the Warriors have ruined the game of basketball. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I've been beating the dead horse about it, man. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I just talked for a while, so I'll let you go, Seven. My bad, guys. I can get kind of long-winded sometimes, so my bad.
I disagree.
Go ahead, Seven. Well, man, say he disagrees.
This is what we do. But no, yeah, I disagree, man. I feel like, it's a new day. And we don't hear a lot of the young NBA fans or the young NBA community complaining about the game, So yeah, viewership may be down. Two things could be true, but I don't think people are unhappy with the product. It could be some other things behind the scenes that make people unhappy. So I disagree with Shaq.
Okay, fair enough. You want me to go first, DFree? Or you still catching a breath over there?
Well, I'll try to give the viewers a break, man. Like I said, I could go, man.
Oh, we love hearing you, man.
I just rip it off, man. So the fun thing about this is when there was a story a couple of days ago about this, and Trevor and I covered it on our second channel, and we did it specifically about this topic. We talked about a lot of things and a lot of different reasons why this happens. We got about 300 different comments, and I'll tell you, a lot of them are pretty mixed. So I don't think it's any one thing in particular. It's not 3-point shooting. It's not the actual gameplay product out there. I think a lot of the reason why viewership is down is because cord cutting, obviously. Everyone and their mama is always like, oh, I'm just going to watch it on Stream East. I'm going to watch it here. I'm going to watch so-and-so. So I think that's the primary reason.
It's a good point.
And then also, even if you have League Pass, there is so much blackouts to where you almost have to go out and watch it on a streaming service, because I could tell you right now, I live in the market for the Kings and the Warriors. I'm like smack dab in the middle. So it's hell watching the Laker games because they play these guys, each a handful of times a year, and I can't watch any of the games. So I'm like, I have no choice but to either, obviously I can get on playback or something, but I have no choice otherwise to do that. I can't literally support the product because it's blacked out. And so there's just a lot of restrictions like that with it. But I do think there is some credence also to like the actual product out there. There is a lot of threes, and to the casual viewer, it looks like these guys are just run and gun jack threes. They're actually not approaching it all the same way. A lot of these guys are approaching the way that they generate these shots very differently. They're getting into different things to try to force these responses from the opponent, and then that's generating an open three. Like, it's not the same, but you can't say, hey, watch this. What do you see? Somebody that's they don't know what they're looking at, right? So I think that's part of it too. And then also I saw a lot of responses that were like, go woke, go broke. People turned away from the product because of that. Like,
racist people, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't watching that before anyways either.
Yeah, so. I can't lie. I saw a lot of responses like that too, where like they don't like that. The 2020 bubble stuff turned them off. So it's a lot of reasons, I think. And also load management, just a lot of stuff. You know what? Great points by both of you guys. It was time for me to cook because you guys know I've been waiting for this question right here. I 110% agree with Shaq, the Diesel. Now, DFree made some great points. There's a lot of streaming going on due to the fact that there's, nationally broadcast blackouts and a lot of streaming services now. Shout out to they know who they are. I'm not gonna. I already dropped the thing, so my bad. No, you good. But Curry has watered down the game of basketball, and it's not his fault that he's that good. It's not his fault. He's amazing, right? He could pull up from damn near half court, and it's a good shot for him. The problem is, and we see this with the All-Star game, and the problem is with everybody else, and Shaq mentioned this in their podcast, problem is everybody's trying to do what Curry does, and not everybody has the skill set to do it. And these modern offenses, it's a copycat league. We saw the Warriors win, 3-4 championships? And so now even the Lakers think that it's okay for
Austin Reeves to come down the court and go three. And
yeah, I don't like that.
That's not acceptable to me. I'm old school, yo. I love the era when a motherfucker would jack up 7 threes and went, 1 for 7, and he's probably not playing the rest of the game. I love that era because it used to teach people the fundamentals of the game. It used to teach people to post up sometimes, to attack the rim sometimes, to play some pick and roll, to get a more, like my guy said, unpredictable offense. Because nowadays we know that there's certain teams you just see them and it's going to be a 3-point shooting fest. You see the Houston Rockets, 3-point shooting fest. You see the Golden State Warriors, 3-point shooting fest. And that isn't fun to me personally. Like I have zero interest in watching the Warriors play ever, unless they're playing one of my favorite teams and I'm rooting for them to lose. So I'll tell you, man, I do believe the NBA product has been watered down due to the analytics and the fact that everybody said no more mid-range shots. Everybody pull up threes or layups and dunks. And that takes away a lot of the beauty of the game. That's why I think it's refreshing for the NBA to have superstars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a mid-range assassin. Ant-Man, right? Anthony Edwards, who has a mid-range game, in-between game. Although now he's been pulling up more for 3. Right?
I was just about to tell you, boy, both of them guys are letting it go. Ant's shooting like 12 threes a game.
And said fuck me because anybody who criticizes this guys, he's still one of my favorite players. But you know what, man? At the end of the day, I think it's gonna be a lifelong debate. Us old heads are always gonna love the game when it was a little more fundamentally safe, and the young school is probably gonna love the 3-point shots. It's probably what gets them excited, right? The most exciting is a 3-point shootout. After all,
yeah, I did see.
I feel like it's changing the game as a whole.
It has. But Seven, has it changed the game as a whole for the better or for the worse? That's what we got to ask ourselves.
Now that's the question. That's the $1 million question. I mean, It just depends. The excitement. Look what it's done for Caitlin Clark. Her shooting, her long range shooting ability has attracted so many people in the women's game. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
I think what it is that threes are accessible to everybody, right? It doesn't matter who you are. And so while dunks are nice, other stuff is nice. Typically highlight plays are either long threes or something in transition at the rim, whatever. Yeah. And that stuff's just not accessible for most people. So that's why they gravitated more towards Steph. But the thing is, the NBA was already trending this way anyway. It was already trending towards small ball, long distance. If you remember the Heatles, one of the big reasons that they won back then was because they adopted a style where LeBron was at the 4, Bosh, who is if AD is not a 4, my God, Bosh is. If AD is not a 5, my God, Bosh is not a 5. Bosh was playing there, and they started winning when he started knocking down that corner 3. They started adopting that style of pace and space, and it really goes further back than that, but it really started taking a hold around that time, and that's one of the main reasons why. And so then analytics start taking over when Steph truly comes in. And it started to become very valuable when he started showing that, yeah, this is just so much more valuable. And you had guys like KG that would take long twos that are a foot in the freaking line. Like, bro, just take a step back because you're making these. They're worth more. Like, you might as well. And so that's why they started moving away from those two. But I do think that it's a very, nuanced conversation. It depends who you ask. Depends what their preferences are. It depends when they started watching the game. But, I mean, viewership went up because of Steph. Steph was crazy electric. People got into the sport that probably never would have otherwise. Caitlin Clark doing the same thing. I think that it's been largely for the better in terms of the actual success of the league that we've had these players go crazy like this. So you could argue whether or not it's analytics or all that stuff has changed the game in a way that you're not a fan of, but I think it's helped more than it's hurt in terms of the actual success of the league because they have been such household names.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I think there's fair points on either half. What do you guys think, chat? What do you guys think? Is the game better or worse for all the 3-point shooting? You guys definitely chime in the comment section for sure. Man, you know what, man? I'm glad you guys came on here today because you guys definitely both brought the fire. There goes my guy, Mitchell. I think he liked that. He'll be back, I'm sure. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is what it's all about, man. Two different points of opinion, and they're both making great points. I
mostly agree with you, by the way. I don't want them to be shooting crazy number of threes. Like the Boston Celtics right now are shooting 50 threes a game. I think that's too many. Like I don't want 50 freaking threes every single game.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you're shooting mid-30s, that's fine, especially if you generate them within the flow of the offense and they're not just jacked up at half court, run up, shoot the three. Like, I think that there is a middle ground, and I think that I mostly agree with you. I just, I think that the players that have popularized it so much have probably done more for the success of the league, is my point.
True. I mean, yeah, I guess we can have it both ways. For me, all I'm trying to say is I just wish if the three wasn't falling, they went to whatever bread and butter they have going.
For sure.
But
the three is their bread and butter.
Well, not for the Lakers, I'll tell you that. Not for the Lakers. I don't want us shooting over 33s, man, because that's crazy. The Lakers, man, we have not been a 3-point shooting team in years.
Man.
It's unfortunate, but all right. Got to talk about Ja Morant a little bit, man. And
boy,
Ja Morant, you know where I'm going with this. DFree. Ja Morant recently said he wants the torch after beating the Lakers. Now I got to ask you guys a question here because I'm serious. I'm dead serious when I ask this. Y'all probably
wants the torch.
Yeah, this is what he said. He said Ja Morant recently said he wants the torch after beating the Lakers. Do strip clubs pass out torches? Because I know damn right he ain't talking about the GOAT torch. I know for sure. This man was feeling himself. Fam. Ain't no way. Talk to me, fam. What torch is he talking about? And where do you guys rank him in your top 10 in this league?
I don't rank him in my top 10 right now. I don't want to take anything away from him either because I think he's an amazing player. Right. And at worst, he's top 15. I don't think he's top 10. Torch, I have no clue what torch he's talking about at all because, I mean, who cares about a regular season game? Like, that isn't whatever. Like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So that's just definitely weird.
Let me tell you something. He really ate, after beating us. Like, he was really feeling himself, fam. He thought, that was calling LeBron old man on the sideline. Like the disrespect, man. How you feel about this, Seven? I know you got to feel some type of way because you're a big LeBron supporter over the years. I got to know, man. How you feel about this?
Who we talking about? Ja's comments or
Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies feeling themselves after they spanked the Lakers the last game?
I mean, I like the conviction behind, what Ja was saying, how, he kept that same energy. He remember how the Lakers did him and did that team. But,
Absolutely.
Memphis is always Memphis be just trying to ingratiate themselves within the greats. Like they tried to pick the same beef with the Golden State Warriors. Like, this is what they do. I'm not surprised.
I like the energy. Don't get me wrong. I like the energy.
I do.
I think the GOAT talk is so delusional. It's like, bro, you gotta accomplish something in this league first before you put yourself anywhere up there. Like I don't even have Tatum up there. Like Tatum probably feeling himself after winning the championship, but I don't even have him up there, So it's like you haven't won a championship or even close. You say he's saying he wants to take the torch from LeBron. He wants to cry. Listen, he's gonna have to pry from his cold dead fingers because ain't no way.
What does he? Okay, so the only way I can understand that is if he's saying as the next star of the league or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I guess he's high flying enough, electric enough to where he could become a big star in the league. Other than that, I have no clue because he's too young in his career. He has no accomplishments. I don't see it.
Maybe he was talking about Bronny. I don't know.
Man, yeah, I was really shocked to hear he wants that. But I mean, you gotta like the hunger. I'd keep that to myself to start accomplishing something. Because if we're ranking top stars in the league, I'm putting Luke over him. I'm putting what's his name? Ant-Man. I'm putting him way over him. Like, there's a couple of stars that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had an MVP caliber season last year.
Thank you. Just behavior-wise, those guys just got good character. I don't want to take shots at Ja Morant, but those guys show good character.
Exactly.
You taking shots with Ja? Is this because he's got problems with guns? Is that?
Oh wow, wordplay! Oh my goodness, man! Y'all heard it here first.
You knew what he was doing.
He like that.
He's like that. That's crazy. Listen, I love the kid's talent. I just wish, I wish he showed out a little more humility like those other guys we mentioned. But I got to say, a couple of other guys because Ant-Man got himself a nice little personality to go along with it.
Said the same
my
thing.
God.
Yeah. Yep. But no, I think even Ant is super respectful of LeBron and the ones that came before him. Outside of Michael Jordan's era, right? That's a topic for a different day. But
yeah.
But all right. All right. The Suns, guys, right now, the Phoenix Suns, yes, the same Suns I'm talking about, the ones from Arizona are currently 7-1. I gotta ask you guys this: are they legit this season, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's too early. I'm not going to call them a fluke, but this is a long 82 game season,
Yep.
I actually think assuming that they're not going to get some crazy injuries, right? I actually think they could be legit. So here's the deal. The Suns, they got a year to gel with their guys. They've got good health. Kevin Durant has quietly been playing like the MVP of the league. And the reason I say that is because he's been getting it done on both ends of the court. If you look at his numbers for both sides, they're amazing. There was a clip that was circulating of him guarding literally everybody earlier today timeline. He's also hit a bunch of clutch shots, clutch blocks. He has been willing them to wins. In fact, the game we lost to them, KD was just unstoppable. He was hitting. We were right. Yeah, we were right there. He was just rising up over dudes. So KD has been amazing on both sides of the court, and they've gotten good health. And they've also been able to do this in general with good health, but with Bradley Beal kind of playing, not playing, things like that. And I mean, imagine this. They actually got better over the offseason despite being a second apron team, all the restrictions they have because they went all in on Bradley Beal before the new CABA kicked in. They got better depth this year, and they actually got one of the main steals of the draft in Ryan Dunn. Nobody expected this guy to be what he's become. He was already a good defensive player, but he's been shooting the hell out of the ball last time I checked. And so I think the Suns may actually be legit this year.
What about Mike Budenholzer? You guys sold on his coaching?
I don't think that. I don't give a damn about the coach at all.
You don't. I actually think Mike Budenholzer is the reason they're playing better. Like the coach really.
I like him better than Vogel for this team because Vogel was just never going to fit this team.
Yeah,
so I'll give him that
for sure.
I'll give him that, but I don't like Budenholzer because I don't like Darvin, and so to me, I can't.
Him up. I like Coach Bud. I would have much preferred if we had hired him over Darvin at that time. I know their philosophy. Know that, but
he was going to get fired, but then they wound up winning the championship, so they didn't fire him. So
but the Bucks are making questionable decisions left and right. I mean, they fired Adrian Griffin, who actually had a really good, and then they hired Doc Rivers, who's been one of the most overrated coaches in the history of basketball, and Darvin Ham to go with him. So, I feel sorry for Giannis, to be honest. And that was going to be my next question. What do you guys think of the Bucks? And as far as Giannis goes, should he request a trade?
You make your bed, you lay in it. You make your bed, you lay in it. Giannis had an opportunity, I believe, to go to Golden State. He did win the championship with Milwaukee, but he had a chance to leave Milwaukee. And I think that it would have been greener pastures if he would have left initially. So he decided to stay. You got Damian Lillard, deal with it.
Oh, I like that. Cutthroat. My man said, hey, you want your brother on your team? This is what you get, bro. You want your brother on your team? Don't complain about it, okay? He's putting up a roster spot. What about you, DFree?
So the fun thing about this season is that Dame's actually came to play. Dame's putting up 28 points per game, 7 assists. This is actual Dame back again. Last year, he didn't really train in the offseason, didn't want to get hurt. He knew he was going to get traded, so he just kind of was. It was basically a lost year for him. And they're still losing games. And in terms of Giannis, he can request a trade, and they probably would honor it, but he's still under contract for another 2 seasons. And that last year is a player option for $63 million. Yeah. I don't know if they would trade him because he's Giannis at this point. They may honor it, they may not. But they may just tell him, you know what? We have you. You know what? I actually wish more teams would just do that. Be like, no, you're not getting traded. Like, no, you signed this contract. We're gonna hold you accountable. Like, I wish more teams would do that. So yeah, I don't even dislike their roster. It's just that they're old. Like, they are not able to compete the way that they need to because their old guys are old, and it's very visible. They even made a roster change today, benching Gary Trent, who apparently that was a good dodge for us, not being able to get him because he's not been great this year.
Trent Jr.
So they're benching him today, I believe, in favor of AJ Griffin, I think is who it was. But
what
regardless,
they picked up Gary Trent free agency?
Yeah. They picked up him and Torian Prince. who's actually been really good for them, ironically.
Wow.
So I don't think they would honor it. He could try to request it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I don't. In terms of the question of if he should, because I took a very roundabout way to get there. Yeah. I mean, they're 1-6, right? So like, why not?
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens, man. Because I think the entire Joel Embiid situation is interesting as well. What happened with the reporter and what he said, and the fact that they didn't back their player. I'm a little shocked by that, but it is what it is, man. Hey, listen, fellas, man. Before I let you guys get out of here and shout yourselves out and everything, man, I want to say I'm very grateful for you guys. I know it was on last minute. You guys came through, man. You guys shine today. You guys shine bright like diamonds here on the podcast today, and I really appreciate it, guys. But really quick, before I let you guys go, any shows you guys recommend for the public, or any words you guys have for the public, man, and also shout your guys selves out, man, because I know you guys have special things going this season. Go ahead. Let's start with Seven Mitchell.
Man, I just want to say shout out to you, Dan. I appreciate again the invite, man. Salute to my guy DFree, man. Appreciate the convo this evening, and shout out to everyone in the live chat as always, man. We make it a movie every live stream, so y'all know how we do, man. Non-stop Lakers, whether you love us or hate us, we always gonna be in the building. Appreciate you, Dan, as always, bro.
Absolutely, and tell them where to find you at, Seven, because you got your own thing going on, man, and we got to show love to Seven. Go ahead, bro.
So here on YouTube, you guys can check me out at Lakers Land, and also most importantly, come check me out on Playback at Lakers Land Show. That's playback.tv/Lakers Land Show. We just started our creators channel over there at Playback. So when you're not locked in with Dan, come rock out with us, and we unfiltered, uninterrupted, and we turning up this season. You already know how we coming, man. So thank you guys so much for all the support.
Absolutely, and thank you, Chemical, for posting.
Chemical, appreciate that.
Appreciate you. Everybody go follow my boy Seven over on Lakers Land. He's been gracious enough to have me over there as a guest, and he's always a great host. So I appreciate you, my brother. We're going to definitely be locked in and collaborating some more. DFree, the people, talk to the people, man. Talk to your people, DFree.
So firstly, thanks for having me on. As always, I appreciate it. Always fun to get on here and chop it up with you. And also, Seven, thanks for the convo as well. You guys can see me on Lakers Nation. I'm over there a good bit. I'll call the games with Trev. I'll do some post games and some other videos every now and again. And I also have my own channel with Trevor called the Basketball Bulletin, where there's new videos every single day. We put up a couple different videos and we cover the entire league. So pretty fun as well. So just a lot of content in general.
Absolutely, man. My guy's killing it this year, man. He came on the basketball scene and he took over, man.
Yeah.
Much love, my guy DFree, man. Definitely, you guys can find him, like he said, over there on Lakers Nation. And you guys can find my guy, Seven, over on Lakers Land, both YouTube and on his Playback, guys. So make sure you guys tap in. All the links are being posted. Appreciate you, Kimiko, so much. And that's going to wrap it up for us here, man, on Around the League. Again, appreciate my brothers for joining. Chat, love you guys, seriously. Strega, all my members, all the subscribers, appreciate you guys, man. And we'll see you guys here for another episode next week. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Peace. Appreciate you, brothers. Thank you.